The phone call changed everything. Jake Morrison's hand shook as he ended the call with his lawyer. Custody hearing moved up to tomorrow. His ex-wife's new evidence could cost him everything, including his 5-year-old daughter, Sophia. He'd been walking through downtown Portland with Sophia, trying to explain why Mommy wasn't coming to their planned zoo trip, when she suddenly bolted. 1 second, she was holding his hand near Pioneer Courthouse Square. The next, she was gone. Sophia. His voice echoed off the surrounding buildings. Panic consumed the tech entrepreneur, who commanded boardrooms but couldn't keep track of one small girl. 20 minutes of frantic searching through the Saturday afternoon crowd yielded nothing. His worst nightmare was becoming reality. Then he saw them, near the fountain across from the courthouse. A blonde woman in a cream blouse knelt beside a familiar small figure. Relief flooded through Jake as he jogged toward them, but something made him slow his approach. The woman was speaking softly to Sophia, her voice carrying on the breeze. "Your daddy loves you so much, sweetie," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Don't ever forget that, no matter what happens." Jake froze. There was something in her tone, something desperate, haunting, like she was saying goodbye. The woman looked up as a shadow fell across them. Her eyes were red and swollen, filled with a grief so raw, it stopped him cold. She appeared to be in her early 30s, with shoulder-length blonde hair and delicate features that seemed vaguely familiar. She was crying by the fountain, the woman said quietly, standing slowly. I heard her calling for her daddy." "Thank you," Jake managed, scooping Sophia into his arms. His daughter clung to him tightly. "I'm Jake Morrison." The woman's face went completely white. She took a step backward, her hand flying to cover her mouth. You're him," she whispered. "I'm sorry." Jake studied her carefully. "Do we know each other?" But the woman was already backing away, shaking her head frantically. "I have to go. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "Wait," Jake called, but she disappeared into the crowd with alarming speed. That evening, Jake couldn't shake the encounter. The woman's reaction to his name, the way she looked at Sophia, like she was memorizing her face. It felt wrong, deeply wrong. He made a call to his private investigator. "I need you to find someone," he said. "Blonde woman, early 30s, was at Pioneer Square around 2 p.m. today. She helped my daughter, but something was off." "What kind of off?" the investigator asked. "The kind that makes me think tomorrow's custody hearing might not be a coincidence." By midnight, Jake had his answer. The woman was Cassie Brennan, 34, a part-time substitute teacher who'd been struggling financially for the past year. But more importantly, she was the older sister of Melissa Brennan Morrison, his ex-wife. Jake's coffee mug slipped from his hands, shattering on his kitchen floor. Melissa had mentioned an estranged sister years ago, but they'd supposedly had no contact for over a decade. A sister who'd struggled with addiction and mental health issues. At 6 a.m., Jake's doorbell rang. Cassie Brennan stood on his porch, clutching a large manila envelope. Her face was tear-streaked and hollow. "I couldn't sleep," she said quietly. Can I come in?" Jake led her to his living room, every nerve on edge. Sophia was still asleep upstairs. "Why were you really at the square yesterday?" he asked directly. Cassie's hands trembled as she opened the envelope. "Because Melissa hired me." The words hit Jake like a physical blow. "Hired you for what?" "To take Sophia," Cassie whispered. "During your outing, make it look like you were negligent, that you couldn't protect her." She pulled out photographs from the envelope. "She's been planning this for months." Jake stared at surveillance photos of himself and Sophia at various locations around the city. The zoo, the park, the children's museum. Someone had been watching them for weeks. "The custody hearing," Jake said slowly. "She was going to claim I lost Sophia. And I was supposed to find her hours later, after you'd been reported to Child Services for losing track of her in a crowded public place." Cassie's voice cracked. "Melissa promised me $10,000. I needed the money so badly. But you didn't take her." Cassie looked up at him with anguished eyes. "I couldn't. When I saw Sophia crying, called for her daddy. When I saw how scared she was, she broke down completely. I have a daughter too. Had a daughter. Jake felt the room tilt. Had leukemia. She died 2 years ago. She was 6. Cassie wiped her eyes with shaking hands. I lost custody during her treatment because I couldn't work, couldn't pay rent. The state said I was unfit. Her voice became barely audible. She died in foster care, asking for me. The silence stretched between them like a chasm. That's why you needed the money, Jake said quietly. Medical debt, legal fees trying to get her back. I lost everything. Cassie pulled out another photo from the envelope. A small girl with brown curls and bright eyes. Her name was Katie. She would have been 8 next month. Jake studied the photo, then looked at Cassie. Why are you telling me this? You could have just taken the money and disappeared. Because when Sophia looked at me yesterday, she had the same expression Katie had when they took her away. That fear, that confusion. Cassie's voice broke again. I couldn't be the reason another little girl got taken from her daddy. Jake was quiet for a long moment. What did you tell Melissa? That you caught me before I could take her. That the plan failed. Cassie reached into the envelope one more time and pulled out a small recording device. But I recorded our conversation 2 days ago. Every detail of the plan. Jake took the device with trembling hands. This could destroy her case. It should. What she was planning, it's monstrous. Cassie stood up slowly. I know this doesn't make up for what I almost did, but maybe it can help you keep your daughter. Wait, Jake said as she headed for the door. The $10,000. What happens now? Cassie gave him a broken smile. I guess I'll figure something else out. I always do. The custody hearing that afternoon was swift and decisive. Jake's lawyer played the recording for the judge, revealing Melissa's elaborate plan to frame Jake as an unfit parent. The judge was visibly shaken by the lengths Melissa had gone to, including hiring her own sister to essentially kidnap Sophia. Melissa's parental rights were immediately suspended, pending a full investigation. But Jake couldn't stop thinking about Cassie. That evening, he found her at Katie's grave in Riverside Cemetery. She knelt by a small headstone decorated with fresh daisies. I should have brought her here yesterday, Cassie said without looking up, to tell her what I almost did. She always said I was a good person. Jake knelt beside her. You are a good person. You proved that when it mattered most. I almost kidnapped your daughter for money, but you didn't. When the moment came, you chose what was right over what was easy. Jake was quiet for a moment. Katie would be proud of you. Cassie finally looked at him, tears flowing freely. Do you really think so? I know so. 3 months later, Cassie Brennan started her new job as Sophia's full-time nanny. Jake had paid off her medical debt and helped her find a small apartment near his house. It wasn't charity, it was family. Sophia adored her Miss Cassie, who taught her braid friendship bracelets, and told her stories about a little girl named Katie, who was watching over them from heaven. On quiet evenings, Jake would find them on the back porch, Cassie braiding Sophia's hair, while they talked about their days. The sight always filled him with overwhelming gratitude. Daddy, Sophia said one evening, Miss Cassie says Katie would have liked me. I think Katie would have loved you, Jake replied, meeting Cassie's eyes over his daughter's head. Cassie smiled, the first genuine smile he'd seen from her. She definitely would have. As Jake tucked Sophia into bed that night, she looked up at him with sleepy eyes. Daddy, why was Miss Cassie crying when she found me that day? Jake brushed her hair back gently. Because sometimes grown-ups cry when they realize how precious something is. Like how much you love me. Exactly like that, sweetheart. Outside Sophia's window, the Portland lights twinkled like stars, illuminating a family that found each other in the most unexpected way. Sometimes, the whisper that changes everything isn't the one you hear. It's the one that comes from your own heart, telling you to choose love over money, truth over deception, and hope over despair. The woman who almost took everything had instead given them everything that mattered.